Good Tuesday morning, East Tennessee. My name is David Aldridge, Chief Meteorologist of Captain Accurate Weather, coming to you by way of the Captain Accurate Weather Command Center. On behalf of Weigel's, fuel and food that's fast, fresh, and friendly, here's your East Tennessee weather update. Got to tell you, I have been very excited because it's been summer. And a lot of us may have spent some time in the Smokies this summer. Maybe you still have some time over the Labor Day holiday that you're going to be in the Smokies. And if you're doing some camping this weekend, is it any wonder you're in your Go Big Orange tent? You've got your fireplace or your fire going, and you've got your family surrounding you. But you might also have some graham crackers, maybe some marshmallows, and maybe some chocolate, and you might be thinking s'mores. S'mores, anyone? That might be something cool to think about. Oh yes, by the way, did you know that s'mores milk is something that Weigel's presents to you? Every Weigel's near you has introducing s'mores milk. It's delicious, it's creamy, and it's a wonderful combination, I might add, of the nostalgic flavor of marshmallows, graham crackers, and chocolate in every sip. Grab a Weigel's s'mores milk. It's available for a limited time. What's awesome about it is it's rich and creamy, and of course it's something that comes from Tennessee cows. It's just better when it's fresh, farm to store in 24, and as I mentioned, the Tennessee cows, who would argue with that? There's also the element of the truly dynamic duo, peanut butter chocolate milk, one of my favorites as well. Many creations that Weigel's has been bringing to you over the last couple years, but of course they've been serving East Tennessee now since 1931. Happy to have them as a sponsor. Let me get to the big story this morning. We have had a new storm named Harold. Can everybody say the word Harold? Oh, tropical storm Harold. Well, he's going to bring in some much needed rain. May miss Houston proper, maybe mostly a Corpus Christi issue, as this will slide from east to west. And it will be making its center landfall most likely around midday today. So 1 o'clock Central Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Time this morning is when it was declared Harold. It was Tropical Depression number 9, so that's how they figure, okay, the winds are strong enough, we'll be watching Harold, and he'll be bringing some much-needed rains. I do know that Houston's been, 45, maybe closing in on 50 days of no rain. They could really use some rain. The grass is pretty crunchy down there, from what I gather. And I have a mother-in-law in Houston, so I should know. I get the updates. Very interesting to see that. But by the way, all those purple and fuchsia areas represent excessive heat warnings and red flag warnings because it's so dry. Burning can actually get out of control pretty quickly, but you'll notice Knoxville is not shaded any color at all. Does that mean we're not going to be hot? No, we're going to be hot, but all things relative, all things Weather Service, there's a criteria to meet. So if it feels like 105, most likely places like Nashville, I'm pointing to the map here, but most likely places like Nashville would be under a heat advisory during that particular time. Want to say good morning to you if you're on the call. To say good morning to you, I am on Facebook and I'm on YouTube at the same time. How could I possibly do that? But I'm here. If you have a YouTube comment, and I've got one person watching, I think it's me. But if you're on YouTube, let me know. I'd love to have you follow my channel. Doesn't cost anything to do that. Subscribe. And I'm going to switch over to Facebook. If you've got a comment over here, I see Fred, good morning, David, grabbing some Weigel's coffee now before it gets too hot. I think that's a great idea. I can always say the Weigel's coffee is fantastic. If you're new to East Tennessee, you can get some cold drinks on a hot day, but you can also grab that coffee, as Fred has so nicely pointed out. Foggy this morning is pea soup in Darcy, Sourceland. And I can tell you, she's not far from the Kingston area, but she's also sometimes on the move. Let me get to the visibility here. There it is. Boy, that was convenient. You had that all loaded up and ready to go. Boy, where you see zero, it's less than a quarter mile in most cases. Where the white area, Union County, is blanketed with fog. You've got fog in Bell County. You got fog in Oneida and Scott County, Morgan County. Do I hear more fog in places like Knoxville, maybe northern Knox County? But this is an estimate based on the data that my weather computer ingests. So I can tell you this, if you've got a weather report, let me know. I'll do my best to magnify, because some of you might say, yeah, it's pretty bad. And in Darcy's case, he says it's pea soup here. Darcy is one of my premium members on Facebook. So fog, a big issue this morning. It's going to continue to be throughout the morning, so please be extra careful. Use your low beams. The sun doesn't come up now until 7 o'clock, and that's when I'm basically done. I'll do a quick 15, 20-minute Facebook and YouTube Live. Low and high humidity, it doesn't, it bears repeating. When the air is dry, which it's not, your moisture can evaporate easily and you cool your body. But because the air is so moist, it's thick, it's sticky, it makes us uncomfortable. And this is going to be the situation moving forward for the rest of the week. Heat exhaustion can enter the conversation. If you're not drinking enough water, if you're reducing or not reducing your strenuous activities, you want to make sure you stay in the AC, find some shade, so on and so forth. Some of it's common sense, some of it just bears repeating. By the way, temperature this morning at 6:45 is 72 Knoxville, 72 Jackson. and only 69 in Johnson City, but they're in the low 80s already in Memphis, where they're going to turn pretty hot pretty quickly over there today. Meanwhile, temperatures right now at 72 Oak Ridge, 70 Rockwood. We got 68 in Jacksboro. I see temperature in Middlesboro about 69. Jonesville about 68. Newport 69. Morristown at 70. That's your starting point. Imagine if we head into the lower to mid 90s today, and it's going to feel a lot hotter. Well, these are the feels like temperatures. Feels like temperatures has no value early in the morning, because it's so close to the actual air temperature. But once you get in the 80s, the formula kicks in, and it is a formula. Once the formula kicks in, then it starts to say, yeah, there's a greater separation from what the actual air temperature is and what it feels like. And what's it going to feel like? I think we're going to head toward 94 in Knoxville. Many of us will be in the low to mid 90s today. It's going to feel like the mid to upper 90s. Some of the heat indice charts I would look at, probably closer to 101. I mean, that's possible. If you get dew points in the low 70s, and you're around 92, 94, you've got a good chance of being around triple-digit heat today. And you say, why didn't the Weather Service issue a heat advisory? Because usually their criteria is 105. Now, if you're a 103, you're a 102, you're out of luck. You're not going to get a heat advisory. It's like you get a heat advisory, you get a heat advisory. It doesn't work that way. It just depends on the criteria. And I'll tell you right now, this is probably the nicest time in the morning if you're not a fan of the heat. Speaking of the heat, if you're playing the home game version, there's a lot of news out there about what people are seeing. I'm not debating that. I'm saying Knoxville. We're just going to focus on Knoxville. We average about 34 days in a year. And we are already now at the 22nd of August. I got some notes here. You know I like to take notes. I got some notes here. All right, here's my notes. Last time it rained, do you know that number? Last time it rained in Knoxville was a week ago today. It was the 15th of August. We picked up 0.58 inches of rain. And by the time we get some rain this weekend, it could be an 11, maybe 12-day stretch. If we don't get rain on Saturday, we might get some on Sunday, but it's not going to quench your thirst or mine or your lawn or your garden. That's my anticipation. Some models are crazy about rain this weekend. We'll have to wait and see. But I can tell you that our high yesterday was 91. As we look at these numbers, last year we had 41 total days. 41. We were 7 days above average this year. Yesterday was 91, so that was the 11th day. I put the word today because I didn't update that, but that was from yesterday. So 91 yesterday on the 21st brings us to a grand total of 11 days so far. And based on the average, you might expect to be around 25 days or more by this time in the calendar year if you take the 10 days in August and cut it in half. So we're nowhere near normal. I know it seems like a big stretch, which it is. And it's a big custom. We're getting used to it. Ragweed's here now, like today and tomorrow. And then by Thursday, Friday, it's up here. So if you're a ragweed sufferer, that's not news that you want to hear at all. Good morning once again to Fred and to Darcy. And if you're on the call, let me know. I'd love to see you on Facebook and YouTube. Oh, I got 5 streaming. Wanda Poe says, bring on the cold air. It's been too hot. Thank you, Wanda, for being here. She's on my YouTube. Be glad for fall and winter to go away. Or go ragweed away. Go away ragweed. She's tired of the ragweed. And who would blame her? Especially if you are suffering from that pollen. By the way, as we go ahead, dew point temperatures are 70. If it's 70, 73 for most of the day, yeah, I think we've got a good chance to be in the upper 90s at a minimum for if it feels like. Because if you say, well, it feels like it, well, that's what it really is. It's perception. It's perception, but it is going to get us through the day. If we're very careful, make sure you pace yourself. That's also one of my messages. By the way, humidity is not going to disappear at midday today. Don't expect that. It covers the whole state of Tennessee and the Commonwealth of Kentucky midday today. 5 o'clock looks like this. Where it does drop off may be Richmond and Washington, D.C. Won't be quite as stuffy up there, or even Charleston, West Virginia. 11 o'clock tonight looks like this. And then once we get into 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, it might wane a bit. When I say wane a bit, it could drop into the mid to upper 60s. So it's not as sticky as maybe tomorrow as it is today, but we might be a little hotter tomorrow. So it just really is an academics experiment, as it were. Tracking the humidity, you can see it stays pretty green across the screen here on Thursday as well. Not a whole lot of change. So it's going to ebb and flow maybe a little bit tomorrow, but by 5 o'clock Friday, I mean, the temperature's Friday, I have us around 97. Now, our deficit on rain is not all that noticeable. You say we have a surplus. We do. About 2¼ inches of rain for the year. But each progressive day, as I mentioned, we haven't had any rain since last Tuesday. There might be some areas from Cookeville to Wartburg, maybe near Jellicoe and parts of southeast Kentucky that could use maybe a tenth, maybe use 2/10 of an inch of rain, but that's where we stand. And you can look around the state. it's not all that bad. It really gets dry south of Memphis and up toward Charleston, north of Roanoke, to the far north and east. All right, let me get you to the wind speeds. Not much right now. Obviously, fog is a big issue this morning. So if you're on the call, let me know. I mentioned Darcy, and I mentioned Fred. He's excited about the Weigel's coffee. By the way, if I've mentioned to you, the s'mores milk, delicious. If you haven't checked it out, it's the taste of summer. Get your s'mores milk today if you're craving a campfire classic with a twist. It's awesome. It's introducing the s'mores milk, available now for a limited time. Love s'mores milk. It's just better when it's with Tennessee cows. And it's just better. Well, cookies and cream, if it's still there, you'd be lucky. But I will say peanut butter chocolate milk is a fixture, so you might want to check that out as well. Okay, got another note from Todd. It says the ragweed is getting me, LOL. And it might get you even worse Thursday and Friday, just a heads up. Because the hotter we get, the drier we get, it's going to be raging. We'll just call it raging ragweed. Does that sound better? That sounds more descriptive. Wheezing and sneezing, headache behind the eye. I think we all have different symptoms. In the Aldrich household, perhaps your household. Janet Potts says, we will be sitting in middle school football game at 5:30 this evening. I feel bad for the football players and cheerleaders in this heat. It'll be a little muggy, no doubt. Overnight lows tonight should be around 70, but let me get to the nuts and bolts because I haven't even gotten to that part of the forecast. Here's the cloud situation this morning. There's a few wispy clouds. Sun comes up in 9 minutes from right now. Bigger picture, I talked about Harold. I'm going to get into that. I'm also going to get into Sahara dust. I'm also going to cover for you smoke. Oh, yes, you knew there'd be some wildfire smoke. All that coming up here in mere moments. Sunrise and sunset this morning, 7 a.m. Right on the dot. Isn't that convenient? Even I can remember 7 o'clock. Yeah, 7 o'clock's when the sun comes up. Doesn't come up at 6:30 anymore. Doesn't come up at 6:45. Not in Knoxville. But it sunsets now at 8:17. That was part of my note taking. See, I'm very good about notes. Take lots of notes. By the way, as we look at the bus stop forecast, kids heading off to school this morning, they're going to find numbers, ready for this, around 79 at 10, 92 at pickup. Oh, oi, ouch. Fog, going to sun and haze and hot. Oh, it's summer. It's summer. It's late August. And these are the numbers I expect today. Morristown, Newport, 92. Crossville could flirt with 90 today. That's tough. 90 Jamestown, 94 Kingston, about 93 La Follette, Jacksboro, Middlesboro, about 91 degrees. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's free. Some people find it a little difficult when you have to put the slash and the at. That's why I made it yellow. YouTube.com/at, CaptainAccurate.com. I know some of you are on there right now. I want to say hello to you if you're on the YouTube with me, because we're doing both. Juan is here, and we got now 5 people watching, so that's cool. I like the fact that this is not something I've normally done, but I'm trying to expand my reach. I hope you'll follow me along, subscribe to my YouTube channel. So we talked about Harold, and we're going to look at his track here. Franklin and Gert. Gert's kind of like a non-starter, a nothing burger. Sorry, Gert. Gertrude is a nothing burger. 60% chance in orange, 20% chance. So there's more development potentially. This is the latest map from the Hurricane Center. Franklin is going to go moving north. So Franklin, we won't focus too much time this morning, but may impact some of the islands in the Caribbean. It's Harold that we're watching here. Notice the winds are at 45, so he's gotten a little stronger overnight. Mentioned around 1 o'clock Central is when he got his name. And by midday today, he could be up to 50 and move just south of Corpus Christi, but they'll bring in some beneficial rain. I think some folks in South Texas were rooting for a hurricane, if for nothing else. Give us the rain. Can you imagine going 45, 50 days or more without rain? Some areas in the Lone Star State are in that category. They would probably prefer to have the rain and deal with the winds later. But this is where the track of Harold goes, and it moves away. No big problem there. But notice Harold is our next name. Oh, actually, Dahlia is the next one. Then Jose, and then Katia. I like that one, Katia. They have to replace these names every 6 years, so Katia would have replaced Katrina down back in the day. They rotate these every 6 years, so if you're on I saw that name before. Yeah, you probably saw it 6 years ago. We don't get up to Whitney all that often, but Whitney's been on the list for quite some time, every 6 years. So if you're following along, there's a reason why we see more activity now. Historically, it ramps up from August 20 to September 10th. Not every year, but most every year, this is when you can almost expect something to brew in the Atlantic. What about the dust? Sometimes this can also inhibit some of the storms, but there may be some dust swinging into Tennessee. If not the Friday the 25th, maybe the 26th. A little hint of it, but that may make a little more added haze to the atmosphere. We could also throw in some smoke, future smoke. Ooh, you mean there's some wildfires? Potentially, right? I'm looking at Lexington, Charleston, those yellow areas, not good. They're all drifting down probably after 10 o'clock tonight. A little hint of it there, the lightest shade of gray suggests it's very, very hardly noticeable, but it could add a little bit more haze to the atmosphere. And if you're real sensitive, that may be what you're sensing. So we've got some dust, perhaps by the end of the week. We got some future smoke, perhaps before the end of the day. Maybe you smell it now, but it might get a little thicker, as you can see there in yellow to the top of your screen, by tonight and into the Wednesday time frame. More heat and humidity today. Be sure to pace yourself, check on your elderly neighbors and your pets. And rain chances this weekend, not all that impressive, but it could be an 11-day stretch. No rain. Our last raindrop was the 15th of August. That was Tuesday of last week. And today, of course, is the 22nd. So keeping an eye on this for sure. By the way, the Storm Prediction Center. Ooh, scattered severe storms. Do we see any of that? We see a lot of green areas, dark green areas. We're looking around toward south of Houston. That would be related to Harold. So some isolated severe storms may occur in Corpus Christi, San Antonio, and all the rest down there. Nothing going on here, but you see a couple of spots up there in the Great Lakes. Some isolated severe storms maybe around the UP of Michigan as well as northern Michigan itself. But nothing going on today. And tomorrow, most of it's up toward the Great Lakes. Not a big deal for Wednesday. We can jump ahead perhaps to Thursday. I think most of us would hope that we get some rain. It's interesting to see this through the eyes of the Storm Prediction Center because they think something could slide down on Thursday from West Virginia, and they put some of the areas in the Tri-Cities under maybe the crosshairs for an isolated shower or storm. Storm would be the light green. The strong to severe, isolated, would be the dark green. So it's interesting because this is how they see Thursday. I've kept Thursday dry. I think it's probably pretty low on the expectation table. Right now we're at 72 degrees. It is 6:57. My goal is to be done in about 3 minutes, or pretty close to it. Dew point is at 69. Our chance of rain goes up to 40%, but not until Saturday. Some models say, no, you're not getting any rain until Sunday. Obviously, it's something we're going to have to check. We're going to have to watch. We have to keep an eye on because things change, right? Some things can modify. When you bring in Harold, he kind of throws a monkey wrench into the flow, and so things could change. But here's my expectation for the Valley Planner. Hazy hot, turning humid. Temperature around 94 degrees. The normal high is 88 degrees. Something to see for sure. I got another note from Ed. Ed says, I'm a tad late, but good morning. Ed, glad to have you here, sir. We were all waiting for you. We said, where's, it's just not the same without Ed. You know what? Is Ed here? Oh, Ed's here. Hey, I'm just teasing. I'm glad you're here. I'm very happy that you're here as we're looking at some of the cool things that many of us are excited about summer. If you're a summer fan, maybe you have got time off with the grandkids who aren't necessarily of the school age yet, and you're hanging out by the pool, why not? Not a whole lot to see on the Futurecast, right? Here we can kind of fly through some of this. Where might I see some rain? The look of a shower or two in the Outer Banks. That fades away. Heading into tomorrow, it's hot and dry. All the weather's either in South Texas. A couple days ago, it was in places like Los Angeles with Hillary. And now we just kind of under this pattern where things are quiet. But that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way between now and, say, Labor Day weekend. There could be more development in the Gulf, and some indications might bring something up here. Maybe toward Destin, maybe toward Knoxville, before the first 5 days of September. I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'll keep my premium members in tune. But I would encourage you to join us. Go to CaptainAccurate.com. It is 6:58. Let's see where we are at noontime. Are we ready? 88. Are you kidding me? Do you know it was 85 yesterday at noon? Man, when you're around 80, 81 at noon, you've got a good chance in this summer pattern to reach 90. Well, I think we're going to head toward 94 today. So if we're at 88 at noon, we're on track. Maybe it's only 87. Maybe it's like Sevierville. Or maybe it's only 85, like Morristown at noon. But this is a good benchmark. Keep an eye on the noon temperature, because I think we'll be headed here by 5 o'clock today. Hazy, hot, and humid is the expectation. Once we move into 11 o'clock tonight, Janet Potts talking about football. It's still going to be in the 70s through 11 o'clock tonight. You wake up tomorrow morning, we're closer to 70. Some of you will be in the upper 60s. Won't be quite as humid tomorrow. I mean, dew points low 70s today as a rule. And tomorrow they'll generally be in the mid to upper 60s. But it's still hot. Because look at tomorrow. Tomorrow we're probably close to 96 is where I see it tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. And it's going to feel, obviously, a lot hotter, given the fact that dew points are just in the 60s. It doesn't take much when it gets that hot. All right, 6:59. Here's your forecast. 91, Wartburg and Oneida. 94 for Tellico Plains. And if you're Fred in Maryville, about 93 for you today. 92 for Wandapo and Newport, 94 in Kingston, where Hallie is, and Darcy, 94, hazy, hot, and humid. But the winds are out of the northeast. That could have, quote unquote, somewhat of a, maybe we'll only hit 92 today. It's possible. But I tell you what, with the dew points as high as they're going to be, you're going to feel like it's closer to the upper 90s, if not close to triple-digit heat. 98 for an actual temperature in Nashville. You think that's nuts. Oh, yeah, it's hot. So please be aware if you're headed there east. If you're heading north, Lexington 93. Tonight we're down to about 70, few clouds to mostly clear skies. Nice looking sky for football. For Janet Potts's point out. She pointed out. But winds out of the northeast about 3 to 8 miles per hour. Tonight we're down to 67 Wartburg, 70 in Kingston, 70 Oak Ridge, and 67 in Sevierville. Crossville at 66. Visibility. Can we expect some fog in the morning? Let's see. Not a whole lot. No? No. Well, that takes you on to see. I don't expect a whole lot of fog tonight. As our temperatures and dew points will be dropping. So we'll see probably less in the way of fog tomorrow. Here's your Captain Accurate Weather Authority forecast for Knoxville, East Tennessee. 94 today, 96 on Wednesday. I think Friday is probably our hottest day, and I did some checking. You ready for this? The record high on Friday is 99 from 1943. That's probably the closest we have. All the others, like tomorrow's like 102. I don't think we're going to hit 102 in the actual shade. That would be ridiculous. So we're not in the record high territory. Probably the closest, as I said, would be Friday. That record is 99 from 1943. Aren't you glad checking? I do my checking. I do note taking so you can see. And our chance of rain storms might be strong. Could come in on Saturday with a 40% chance. But again, a lot of it's going to be predicated. Once Harold is absorbed, you say everything's connected like dominoes. You get Harold into the system, and then all these models will rebuffer, recalculate, and then we'll have a new perspective on when we get some rain. But don't expect rain until probably as early as this weekend. That's my note. By the way, Denise says thank you. Carrie, one of my premium members, says good morning, everyone. Have a blessed day. Felicia, happy warm Tuesday morning. Stay cool and hydrated on this hot and sticky day. And welcoming our friend Ed, who's back. And glad he said it was Tadley. Who, we know when you're on, but I am happy to see your notes. And if you're on YouTube, because that's where I'm trying to grow the platform. Got 5 people watching. Wanda's talking about how she's 12 days away from the Vols game. Go Vols. Got to be excited about the Vols, no doubt. By the way, if you haven't picked up a bottle of the s'mores milk, it's delicious. It's a creamy concoction that combines the nostalgic flavors of marshmallows, graham crackers, and chocolate in every sip. Weigel S'mores Milk. Pick up a small bottle, pick up a big bottle, pick up one of 2 of each. Pick up a bottle today. It's delicious. Introducing Weigel's brand new S'mores Milk. Love it. It's just better when it's fresh. Farm to store in 24. It's just better when it's with Tennessee cows. And very thankful for Weigel for supporting Captain Accurate Weather so you can get these forecasts in these timely manners on Tuesday mornings. A truly dynamic duo with peanut butter chocolate milk. Well, my name is David Aldridge. Some people call me Captain Accurate. It's not easy being accurate, so weather doesn't surprise you. We'll see you here next time. Take care.